Hello and you're welcome to the Big Tech Show with me, Adrian Weckler. Now, how do you go from a junior call centre representative answering phones on your first day to leading one of the world's most iconic tech multinationals' customer service operations worldwide from Blanchardstown? Well, today I'm going to find out as I'm joined by Siobhan Curtin, the site lead for eBay Ireland and Senior Director of Global Service Delivery. We're going to get into a lot of the issues around eBay in Ireland, but Siobhan, your first job there was 20 years ago and you started by answering phones as a customer service rep. Were you just out of college or?
Yeah, I had just finished college and I had done a bit of work with a banking institution, and I seen an ad in the paper that was saying, in the paper, imagine, not even online, and it was saying we're hiring for a tech company, eBay. I didn't really know what eBay was at that time. It had only been established in '98 and didn't have a huge presence in Europe. And I suppose what attracted me to that was really, it's something different. All through my schooling, all through college, I really was entrepreneurial. I did a lot around tech. I was probably an early adopter of a lot of tech, even the social media pieces, all of that.
You went to Ballyfermot? I
did, yeah. And that was, school for me, I found it not very exciting, if we can put it like that. Sitting down. So I suppose what I meant by that was it's very, you have to learn something and then you have to regurgitate it out. And what I really honed in on was we were living in Leixlip and Intel had donated 20 computers to the school, and that's in, the late 90s. And a computer teacher came in to teach voluntarily computer science and some coding. And I did that as an extracurricular activity and loved it. And I also loved business as well. So those were the things I kind of tended to go towards. And I didn't spend a lot of time, much to my parents' dismay, studying and all of those things. So didn't think I would go to university or college. I did see a business program in Ballyfermot College. And that was a really hands-on, practical business course. And in that, we actually got to run our own business as our last year. It was a 2-year course. And I managed to get a distinction in that. And that really lit the fire under me of, let's take this a little bit serious now. You probably have the skills to do this. After that, I did do a year in National College of Ireland. And then I went into, what I thought was a nice, safe job and keep the parents happy in banking. Did not like it. Saw the ad for eBay and went through a number of interviews. It was a different stage there. We had to do role plays. It was totally not traditional what we had to do, and then got the role in eBay. And it's just been amazing since then.
So you started as a customer service rep, and then you moved swiftly on from there through, from what I'm looking at, umpteen promotions. You then went on to become a team lead, then a supervisor. And then you left to join Halifax shortly as an operations lead. But you returned to eBay quite soon after that as a customer experience team leader. And you kept on going for promotion after promotion, and you kept on getting them. What was the big leap promotion for you in that process?
Yeah, I think, like anything, all the time I was gathering skills. I did a lot of lateral moves as well. It wasn't always just up, up, up. Now, I did ascend quite quickly once I got to probably that manager position. The team leader position where you have probably 20 people reporting into you. It's intense. They're answering customer calls. It's a busy, busy environment. When you make that leap from, not being on the team to being on the team, leading the team, that's totally different. And then when I moved into the more managerial role, looking after even a group of team leaders, that really changed my mindset as well. And it was, I'm not just impacting, my customers that I speak to every day, or I'm not impacting a small team. I'm now responsible for impacting the lives of many people that are underneath me. And I think what happened in eBay was there was a lot of room to try new things, try things and fail. We have a lot of autonomy in our roles. And a huge amount of opportunity. A lot of times I took opportunities where I didn't really know what I was going to do.
Yeah, like what motivated you to do that? Because all that culture might be there. There may be an innovative environment and all of the things you talk about. But it does take somebody to go for those promotions, to actually put yourself forward, to drive yourself. What was that motivation for you?
Yeah, and I think about this a lot, and I think about it even as now that I'm a senior director leading global teams, is what has put me here. I think what I really have is a very strong work ethic. I have a very strong resilience. There have been times where I have made a mess, where I have not done the right thing. And really, it's about showing up every day. And what's in me is I think I'm more optimistic. I have a bit of that growth mindset where, even if we face a challenge or a barrier, I'm like, how do we get over that? And I take challenges very seriously, and I'm quite competitive.
I have to ask you, making a mess and barriers. Go on, give me an example of a mess.
Oh, I've probably made a lot of them during my years. When I was a new team leader, I thought everybody was the same as me. Everybody wanted to do a great job. Everybody wanted to do their best all the time. And when I was speaking to people, I would say, why aren't they motivated? I'm motivated by these things. And then I had to really learn through leadership that people are motivated in different ways. And what's unique for you is not unique for everyone. And then it's about really getting people around a vision, a purpose, helping them develop, helping them see what they can't see in themselves sometimes.
Adjusting to different personalities, different mindsets.
Yes. There have been decisions I've made in terms of setting up maybe programs where I thought, this was a great idea and our customers will love this. And no, they didn't love it. And we had to readjust and course correct very, very quickly.
That's really interesting. Now, it's been 2 years, Siobhan, since you've had a promotion. So, what is next in the ladder of eBay for someone like you?
Yeah, so it's actually been only a couple of months.
A couple of months?
Yeah. So I got 2 years ago, I was made the director and the site director. And then in February, I was made a senior director. And what that meant was I went from running, historically I ran kind of the Europe teams, UK, Irish teams. And now I'm actually responsible for the whole seller experience for eBay globally.
What does that mean?
So what that means is when our customers need our help and our assistance, and our sellers need our help and our assistance, I am supporting them through my various teams and huge teams across the globe.
That's for sellers anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world.
They could be in Las Vegas or Argentina or New Zealand.
Exactly.
So does that really necessitate a kind of around-the-clock mentality there?
So I'm really actually lucky, and I did. I was nervous when I was given this opportunity because I thought, maybe I'll have to adjust a lot of my work-life balance. But actually, what I've learned, and this is experience, is we really need to trust your team. You need to trust your team, but you need to verify. It's not that everyone has carte blanche. We need to verify we're getting the outputs that we have. But I have a great team and senior leaders located in North America, which is absolutely a different time zone. They pick up things when I'm offline. I come in the morning. I pick up things from them. We are working very asynchronously. And this, I think, is part of, as we've worked remote and dispersed for many, many years, we can make it work now.
So I'm just thinking even laterally, sometimes when I call customer service, it might be someone in a different country from a different background that I'm talking to. And that's kind of a typical experience in modern day retail. So you could have somebody in the States or someone else who wants to call customer experience, and because of the time zone difference, they're getting through to somebody here, possibly.
Possibly. We do mostly keep our teams close, near to the customers, so they can, understand the culture and all of those things. But possibly that can happen as well. And it's amazing. I just did a massive, we call them Ask Me Anything or All Hands with all of my teams across the world. And to see people connecting so globally, we've got a very young workforce as well. And they don't, they could see, what is the opportunity here in a company like this? It's just amazing to see.
Just remind us exactly what eBay does and what it has evolved into now, because in my life, eBay would have been one of those anchor tenants of the web economy in the early 2000s that we all used. It was right up there with, Amazon and Yahoo and Hotmail. And, we kept using it, but maybe not quite as much as we would have some of the other services. So what does eBay do now?
Yeah, so I think, let's start at the start. eBay was the first pioneer. If you think about all the tech giants that have come on since, that community and that purpose of connecting, what we're doing today is connecting millions of buyers and sellers. And I actually think we have a huge place in the world. If you think about it, 40% of our gross merchandise volume is because of re-commerce. So we have people reselling tech accessories, refurbished items, pre-loved items. That is huge for not just for eBay, but actually for the world and the globe. And when we think about, waste and sustainability and all those things. So I think going back to our founding in the zeitgeist now, and even when you see the new generations coming up, when we talk about Gen Zs and Gen Alphas and all of those, that's what they want. So I actually think our original purpose of connecting people, connecting community, being a place where you just couldn't get anything, you can get everything, is really prominent now.
I mean, that's what it always was to me. I would be bidding in an auction for something. I remember once bidding for a very old Apple, I think it was an iBook, I think it was before a MacBook, years and years and years ago. And I suppose now you could call that sustainable or pre-loved or reusing something. But has it changed much in those years?
Absolutely. The other thing that is really prominent is parts and accessories and motors. We have our number one category actually selling out of Ireland is parts and accessories for motors.
For cars.
And because of the technology we have, there is no other online website where you can go in, have the number, have the serial number, and you can find that anywhere in the world and you can get it. If you think about, people trying to do up their cars or maintaining their cars, the technology we have today and the technology is propelling us. So I would say where we're going from the foundations of that pioneering, actually in technology is enabling us to be even better.
What's the weirdest or most, let me rephrase that, what's the most interesting thing that you see, the category maybe, or items that you see going through the site?
Collectibles is huge for us. We have Pokemon cards, we have comic books, you wouldn't believe some of the sports memorabilia that goes through the site that people are so interested in. We did laugh yesterday, eBay.ie is, coming up to 20 years, and we did have Ronan Keating's pants at one time.
Ronan Keating pants. Now, pants, just for our American listeners, pants means something slightly different in Ireland and Europe.
Oh, trousers, of course.
Trousers, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And there are probably rules as well in terms of what you can't sell.
Absolutely.
Because over the years, I remember reading stories like somebody trying to sell a tiger cub or whatever on eBay. Broadly speaking, are they the rules you would expect?
Absolutely. Like we have very, very strong rules for our community, what they can sell, what they can't. I think a lot of those items might hit the headlines. They would be very quickly removed from our site, and doesn't happen a lot. People are coming for their parts and accessory, their sustainable fashion. They're coming for the refurbished tech items. You think about the cost of living and students and all of those things that, this is great for them to get these pieces really cheap. The other thing we see is an emerging market, and timely with the summertime, is home and garden is huge for us as well.
Now, a big feature that we worked on in the Sunday Independent was we do this thing every year, it's the best employers in the country, where we combine and rank 150 companies based on what employees and employees at other companies say about them, whether it's where it's a nice place to work, whether it's a bad place to work, if it's improved, if it has disimproved. eBay came in at 6th this year. It's the highest ranked tech multinational. The tech space has undergone a lot of turbulence. There have been some layoffs, a few as well, I understand, at eBay. But eBay came in 6th. And one of the questions I have around that for you, because we've spoken before about remote working, and eBay is huge into remote working. It seems to be a foundational element of how you employ people. Do you think those two things are linked?
I absolutely think they are. I think we were actually very lucky being, again, a visionary employer, thinking about what is happening in the future. What's the future of work? Where are the talent? In 2017, we actually started our remote work program, eBay at Home. And when the pandemic hit, we were able to quickly move people into doing work. We didn't, stop. We didn't have to stop our customers from contacting us. We could move within a day. We turned all of our operation in Ireland into at home. Today we have people that are working remotely for us. Our teammates, it's about 70% of our workforce
in Ireland.
In Ireland. And we have people working hybrid. We have people that are working in office as well. But
so sorry, that's 70% who work entirely remote?
There are that are fully remote.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can see why that would be popular as an option for people. Is it an option, by the way?
It is an option.
So if I go to work for eBay, I can choose whether or not to be remote fully, or maybe depending on the role, or hybrid, or in office.
Exactly. Yeah. So which is our biggest piece that we have, our biggest operation in Ireland is our customer experience teams, and they have the option to be fully remote, hybrid, or in office.
Now, how have you found that yourself? You work hybrid, I think.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm lucky. I started out in Blanchardstown. I live in Navan. It's 30 minutes down the road. I like going into the office sometimes. I like meeting people. But it has been a game changer for people in terms of where they live, and it's been a game changer for us in terms of talent. We have people working diverse profiles, that people that you wouldn't think are normally working in a eBay tech company, but the life experience and the different roles that they bring has been phenomenal. So the talent we can get with the option for remote working is huge for us.
Now, we've spoken about this before, but why do you think so many other big tech companies are trying to nudge or cajole, or in some cases order or mandate their staff to come gradually more into the office? So what might have been a hybrid 3 days at home, 2 days in the office is now becoming 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. And, other big companies, particularly in this tech space, are saying, look, we'd really like you to come into the office more. Where do those two things meet? Where does the philosophy that you have at eBay, which seems to be popular with your staff according to our best employers ranking, but those other tech companies who seem to believe that productivity is linked in the office, where are those two things meeting?
Yeah, look, I'm not in those companies, but what I can say, what works for us, there is still time where in-person collaboration is important. There are times where you need to, think about what are the outcomes, what are the outputs, and you can manage that. You're able to lead through that. Remote work takes a lot of a different leadership. It takes a much more intentional leadership. We have invested a lot in our leaders in terms of how do you lead somebody in remote? How do you lead somebody that you don't talk to every day, that you don't see in person? We've also trained all of our leaders on mental health first aid. And we're able to think about, what are the signs that if I was sitting in front of you, Adrian, I might know Adrian's not having a good day. How do you know that when it's virtual? What are the questions that you're asking?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
We had somebody in earlier in the week who runs a professional services platform, and she was talking a little bit about caution with regard to remote working, that it presents different challenges specifically around things like mental health, that it's harder sometimes to connect. And by the time the company is aware of it, it then becomes almost like an intervention issue, and they have to remediate it that way.
Exactly. And that's why I think there are challenges for sure, but that you can overcome those challenges. And that's why it takes maybe a little bit more or a little bit of different thinking to make it work. But it absolutely can work. You can see our results our results haven't fallen. If anything, we have seen improvement in our customer satisfaction. We have seen improvement in our effectiveness, our efficiency, and all of those things are helping drive why would we not do it? And why would we not invest then the time in the leaders to make sure we're managing our remote workforce in the optimum way? And the other thing I would say, there are absolutely times where in-person makes sense, and we do a lot of in-person days. We do collaboration. Sometimes when we're doing something very creative, we want to brainstorm. It's great to have those in-person
And you yourself, how many days would you be in the office?
Usually I do 2 or 3 days in the office, which is great. It works out really well for me. As I said earlier, I'm working as for a global team, and I have very flexible hours. You know, sometimes I might take a call later in the evening and then go in later in the morning. It really works.
Now, eBay is approaching 20 years in Ireland, and you spoke earlier about the effect not only that eBay has had on Ireland, but you believe that Ireland has had on eBay, because you run global operations from here, don't you?
We do.
Customer service.
We do. So we have our VP of Global Customer Experience, who's responsible for thousands of employees, sits here in Dublin. We have senior directors like myself. As I explained, I'm looking after the seller experience. And I'd like to think the Irish workforce and the talent we have, and it's not just those customer experience operations, we're running some of the tech functions, finance functions. We're also, our people experience are involved with all of our teams around the globe. But I would like to think the one other thing that we have really brought to eBay globally is our culture. We have such a culture in Ireland of giving. One of the things we set up, which was initiated in Ireland, was a GCX for Good programme. And there were 2 main things that we did there was volunteering. So all of our employees are doing volunteering hours. We have raised over $250,000 in Ireland just this year for charity partners all across Ireland. And we've also done, I think, over 11,000 volunteer hours just here. And what we did was started that in Ireland, and we're now doing that in our operations across the world. And that
so it started here in Ireland?
It started here in Ireland, our GCX for Good programme, and actually came a lot out of what we've seen in the Ukraine. We have a stepping stone programme, which is where we're giving employment to people of refugee status. It started with the Ukraine war, and we've opened that up to many people. We actually have 19 people of refugee status working for us today. That's 19 people that we're impacting, but also their families and their communities. And they're working remotely, so it's not just in Dublin, across Ireland. And through that, we've been able to say, you know, this is how eBay should work. And now we're seeing other locations across eBay take that same volunteering, that same giving back to the community. And it has been a game changer for our employees, not just in Ireland, but across the world. Our employees want not just to work for someone or work, you know, that seems nice and it's good culture. They actually want to give back. And it's hugely important for our younger generations.
You played GAA. You played GAA. You're now a GAA coach.
Yeah.
And you played at quite a high standard. Do you think that is connected with your drive to succeed in moving up the ladder at eBay in taking these senior roles?
I think so. I think sport, and it's not just related to GAA. I'm very passionate about girls in sport. I think it builds huge confidence. I think it builds resilience, because sometimes you're going to lose, right? And actually in the losing, I always say to the kids I coach, actually in the losing you find out, what can we do better? What went wrong that time? What can I look at? And that is a huge life lessons. I think as people come out, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. We didn't always have a lot of things. I think young people now, there is a lot of technology. There are a lot of things they have, and they're not always used to having maybe lost something or failed at something. And if we can build a resilience, perseverance and a growth mindset, I think that's huge.
Siobhan Curtin, site lead at eBay Ireland and Senior Director of Global Service Delivery. Thank you very much for joining us on the Big Tech Show. D Reddy produced this podcast. I'm Adrian Weckler, and you have been watching or listening to the Big Tech Show. We'll talk to you soon.